Welcome at Riks Europe. I hope when you're watching this, you're enjoying your holiday. But as you know, in politics, there is never a holiday because this week has been crazy busy. Think about the Republican convention. Think about Ursula von der Leyen getting re-elected again. And of course, we have a new parliament. Now, to discuss all of these topics with me in the studio is my lovely colleague Peter. Peter, welcome.
Thank you, Scarlett.
Let's start with the topic I feel like we discuss every week, which is Queen Ursula. And it's crazy because this week we had some groundbreaking news, namely that the Court of Justice of the European Union said that the European Commission failed giving transparency in the COVID deals that, as you know, has costed billions and billions of taxpayers' money. The weird thing is that this news came out on Wednesday, and on Thursday, Ursula von der Leyen got re-elected to be the boss of the EU. Peter, make it make sense, please.
Yeah, I think it's frustrating and bizarre, frankly. Von der Leyen is a very controversial Commission president. I think it's fair to say that. Already before she was defense minister in Germany, there were some corruption scandals that didn't really go anywhere, but still it sort of, was linked to her. Also, as defense minister, she has been, responsible for the very dire state of the German army. So it's a bit strange that somebody like that is then, promoted to the European Commission. I mean, she was really promoted away from Berlin. And then even if 5 years ago, she only very narrowly was supported by the European Parliament, then she actually conducted quite an extreme, policy. She pushed through the Green Deal, very expensive, regulations and policies, central planning really for farmers, for industry also. Both of them have been protesting a lot in the European Parliament elections now in early June. All the politicians that supported the Green Deal were punished by voters. So you would expect a signal of some sort. Now, that didn't came. European leaders basically re-nominated her, and now a majority in the European Parliament has supported her. And the crucial element for von der Leyen to be, voted in was the support of the Greens. So now she will be, I think, dependent, partially at least, on the Green group, just when this is exactly the group that has been punished by European voters.
Yeah, because what you said exactly is true. I mean, we know what the past 5 years looked like with Ursula von der Leyen. It has been filled with scandal after scandal. She is actually still under investigation while we're speaking. What are the 5 next year going to look like?
At least she has not promised to come up with even more green policies. She did in her, speech and the document that she published just before, however, not promise to unwind some of these extreme green policies. And then one of the green policies is the ban on the combustion engine, on the traditional engine, which was invented in Germany. And at the end of the day, the people that are really responsible for her re-election, her renomination, are the German Christian Democrats. They are in the opposition in Germany. Von der Leyen is not a German Christian Democrat. Yes, formally she is, but she's left green. She's proven that. She has not even promised to them to, lift the ban on the combustion engine. And this would be, the very, I would say, the least you could expect from her. At the moment, we see a lot of electric vehicles being imported from China into the EU because Chinese electric vehicle companies are outcompeting European companies. So just at this moment, the EU is basically undermining the business model of European car manufacturers. They are better in the combustion engine, which you could argue is sometimes better for the environment than electric vehicles. So it does not make any sense whatsoever. So just to say this was low-hanging fruit, this was the obvious condition for the EPP, for the German Christian Democrats, to link to supporting von der Leyen, and even that they did not do. So this is really, once again, a story of the center-right, the centrists betraying their own voters. And supporting von der Leyen is just a symptom of that.
Yeah, because Ursula von der Leyen basically will continue ruling as Queen of Europe. Well, let's hope that the next 5 years will be better. But that's not the only thing that happened in Brussels this week. We have a new parliament. It's the start of a new era. Peter, of course, in the past weeks, the new parliament has been very busy forming new coalitions. Can you elaborate on how this new parliament looks like?
Well, it's a little bit the same story as von der Leyen, really. The signal of voters was not picked up at all. What we saw is that the right-wing populists, they became the third biggest group in the parliament. The party of Marine Le Pen is represented in that group, called the Patriots now. It's got a new name. And they still continue with the cordon sanitaire against that party, even if some of the parties represented there are in government. Like, for example, in Italy, the Lega is a member of the Patriots. They're in government. So, look, if we would be talking about a real neo-Nazi formation or something, of course, then you should not work with those kind of people. But to completely exclude them, to not give them an equal number of vice president, for example, to not give them responsibility in the legislative process, but then to work with the Greens, who are really quite extreme, have been basically rejected by European voters. I mean, yeah, formally it is democratic if you say they have a majority to do that, yes. But again, this is the centrists abandoning their voters. I think if you ask their voters, do you think that we should work with Le Pen, we should work with Meloni, with the Italian Lega, the Polish former governing party? I think most people, we don't maybe 100% agree with them, or will we disagree with them, but it's just bizarre to say, we declare you to be diabolic and we will completely exclude you. And time and again we see that this ultimately is punished by voters who naturally don't like that.
And then, last but not least, the Republic Convention. Trump made his big entrance only 2 days after he was so close to death. Well, first and foremost, what were the highlights of the convention, Peter?
I thought the highlight was the speech of President Trump, where he recalled the terrible assassination attack, where he was praising the families of the fireman who was murdered. And I thought Trump gave a really, really strong speech. I mean, if you're wondering why tens of thousands of people are coming to his rallies, then I think you have the answer there. This is a man that was almost murdered. He had a visible injury on his ear, and I thought he was actually quite moderate as well. They have been portraying him as the devil, and of course he has been over the years making some nonsensical comments, like many politicians, and at times he has been quite populist. That is all true. But I thought he was very measured in his speech. He also called for a more friendly debate in politics. He looked really presidential, I think. And what we hear now is that the Democrats may finally replace Joe Biden. So I think that's their last chance. Maybe if a new Democratic candidate can enjoy the grace of the media for a few weeks, that gives them a bit of a chance. But in almost every swing state now, Trump is far ahead. These are no longer swing states. So for now, Trump is very likely to become the next president.
Yeah, and I think what's also very interesting is the way we see Trump now is as such a family man. The whole Trump family seems to be such a strong unit. And if you look at the Democrats are so divided. They don't even know who they want to have as their own president. Like you said, Biden is most likely on Sunday to give a speech wherein he's saying that he's not going to run for office. I even heard rumors that he might not endorse Kamala Harrison. So I think there are very interesting times ahead of us. Another highlight is, of course, that Trump announced his running mate, which is Vance. So, do you think that he's a good candidate to be the running mate of Trump?
I do think so. I think he's supremely intelligent. Um, he's from the Rust Belt, as they call it, an impoverished area in America. You know, one of the things that struck me was that J.D. Vance, he never had sparkling water when he was young. So he's coming from a really poor background. And yeah, I mean, I cannot imagine how you can grow up in America and not having sparkling water. You
Mm,
discovering that as a luxury.
yeah.
That's a small thing, but he was a successful author of basically a novel recalling his own youth. In Europe, he's portrayed as some kind of an extremist, which is not correct. I read his article that he wrote in the Financial Times back in February of this year, and he made some very fair points. He said, "Look, we want European nations to be our allies. We don't want client state in Europe that are dependent on us. They have to be able to stand on their own feet, but we want to be their allies. We don't want to pull out of NATO." And these are all very reasonable, stances. And what is not reasonable is how the Western European political class has acted in the last 30 years by completely neglecting our own defense. That was irresponsible. So I think J.D. Vance is very welcome to become vice president. I think he'll do an excellent job.
Well, thank you so much for being with us here today, Peter. I'm very curious after this weekend if Biden is still going to run for president. I guess we'll have to wait and see. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments because, as always, we're very curious. And thank you so much for watching. Enjoy your holiday, enjoy the summer, and we see you next week.